Hey, good people. Welcome back to The Real Deal. I'm your host, Ciara Marie, and today we're talking all things mental health, including a few myths about therapy. My guest today is Dralisa Young, a young lady who is making her mark on the short but growing list of African American people who provide therapy and private practice owners, who is also located here, right here in Chicago, Illinois. Hello, Dralisa.
Hi, thank
How
you so
are
much for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Can you tell the people a little bit about your private practice, the
Sure.
name, and how you got started?
Sure. So my business is called Favorite Therapy.
Yes.
I opened it in the year of 2024. I am now open full time.
Yes.
Our practice provides mental health services for individual, couples, and families. We primarily work with adults right now, and
Okay.
we've pretty much been making it important to make mental health a household conversation, break generational curses, and we specialize in anxiety, depression, mood disorders, and a lot more.
Love it. So let's talk about a little bit how you said, let's make mental health a household conversation.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
Why do you feel like, or have you noticed that certain communities find a hard time enrolling or utilizing mental health practices rather than making it the first solution
Yeah.
for what we go through?
Sure. So primarily the African American community. I remember being younger and depression, having a bad day, anxiety just like wasn't a thing.
Yes.
It was always kind of like you are responsible for taking care of your responsibilities, which is going to
Yes.
school, getting an education, coming home, having homework, and having household chores.
Yes.
If you were having a bad day, it was you're in your head, or get over it, or get back to your responsibilities.
Yes.
So I wanted to make it more normalized that like African Americans, their emotions and their feelings are not just things. It's not just you're having a bad day. Sometimes it could be deeper. Sometimes it could be a little minimal.
Yes.
But I wanted to at least start educating people how to identify those signs, what to do when you're feeling that way, and also to let them know you're not alone.
Yes.
And those feelings you felt when you were younger kind of could be still happening now as an adult because your needs went unmet.
Yes. So I like to talk about, especially in our community, I like to say, I actually got this from one of my pastors, but I like to say that exposure breeds experience. So especially with the people, our community, we're not exposed to thinking that therapy actually is a good thing.
Right.
Therapy is actually a proactive solution rather than thinking something's wrong with me. A lot of times we like to keep things in or sheltered rather than building a community where we can share and build a healthy community at that. So let's talk about have you ever noticed in just therapy the role that maybe, well, first let's talk about how you use therapy. So is it CBT? Is it just regular counseling? Can you first tell us what method you utilize for our people?
Yeah, so commonly I feel like I use a lot of strength-based kind of interventions. I really, really love CBT. I love reframing the mind.
Yes.
I feel like DBT is everybody's bread and butter. That's really what you primarily learn when you are in school.
Yes.
And some of your first jobs are going to coach you and build you up on those skills because you're usually working in a population where it's well needed.
Yes.
I am very task-centered, so I do a lot of hand-holding with my sessions and with my clients, and I'm very task-oriented. So I'm like, if you come to me, you have a problem, I'm not that therapist that's going to walk away and like, hey, like I want you to do this homework. I'm like, in real time, like let's do some of it in the sessions. Let me give you the resources. Let me give you the people that you need to add on as far as having a therapist so that you can get through some of these hard tasks that are affecting your mental health.
Good. Can you explain CBT? I know we have thrown a lot of
Sure.
letters and things around here. Can you explain what CBT is and how it's helpful or beneficial?
Sure. So it's cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yes.
It is beneficial because people kind of psych themselves out by creating these narratives in their head of who they are.
Yes.
So with CBT, you're mostly reframing your mind. You're reframing your thoughts. You're reframing how you treat yourself, how you look at yourself.
Yes.
So in real time, in a session, that might look like us taking this thought that you have of yourself, like I'm not enough, and reframing it like I'm not who I am or who I want to be today.
Yes.
But there's light at the end of the tunnel, or I have to do X, Y, Z to be who I actually want to be. So it's training you to think different. It's helping to promote healthier practices, and
Yes.
it's helping you to implement positive self-talk in your life.
Good. So kind of like teaching people that as life evolves, your thought process about yourself has to evolve.
Exactly. It's
Rather
really,
than beating up on yourself.
exactly.
I love that. I got that from
Yeah.
school. Go ahead. I love that. So let's talk about some of the myths that there are when it comes to therapy. Not just, oh, something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
It's not, people are trying to get money off of,
I know, right?
right? Off of my trauma.
Sure.
But let's really dive into some of the myths about therapy. What do you think are some of the myths about therapy that you wish people would kind of debunk and get rid of?
I think one of the major myths is you have to lose yourself or someone to go to therapy.
Wow.
And I really hate that because grief is obviously very much real. We are going to lose people in our life, whether it's by natural causes, or that's just not your friend anymore. It's still a form of grief. And people, well, not necessarily like people assume, but people are told sometimes that like you have to lose yourself. You have to go through your crazy phase, or you have to be unwell to go to therapy. In actuality, you should just go to therapy even when you're feeling 100%, because maybe there's areas in your life that you want to work on, you want to perfect. Maybe there's things that happened in your childhood or things that you saw that you never got a safe space to talk about, and you haven't maybe got skills to move past it, and it's showing up in new relationships. So I think that's one of the major myths, that you can't go when everything is good.
Yes, two things you said was safe space and skills. And I like to think, especially with mentors or clients, especially in this field that we're in, the social services, I like to think that mental health should not be your last answer. But actually the same way you go to school and you have to prepare, the same way we go to church, you still have to go to Bible study and read. I feel like you should look at mental health the same way. It should be a checklist to make sure you're going through life healthily, to make sure you're going through life, okay, I'm aware of my triggers, I'm aware of my trauma, to make sure you're going through life and navigating it well. So with that being said, with skills and preparation, how can I utilize my therapy and still my faith? Can they coincide?
They absolutely can, because it's not I'm doing one more than the other. Well, it shouldn't be, right? Everything is about balance, and everything is about knowing your capacity. So you don't want too much of anything, right? Now, you don't want to say, instead of going to therapy once a week, oh, I'm going to go 5 days a week, and then I'm going to go to church on Sunday, right? Because at some point you are maybe neglecting something that day one, it was always your intentions to put the time into that. So it really is about being mindful of who you are, where you are, and where you want to go. So you wouldn't want to utilize therapy as an alternative for your faith either. You want to, it should be an extension of it.
Okay, so one can enhance the other.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what's one message you'd give to churches or faith leaders who want to incorporate or should incorporate mental health to their audience, to their church, to the believers?
I would say really find the experts. I think it's important that your spiritual leaders are your spiritual leaders, but to be mindful that there's people that have gone to school in, that they specialize in maybe faith-based type of therapy, and find those people and see how you guys can work together. Because sometimes I think when we try to take a role and do that role without specializing in it, it can sometimes hurt people. Sometimes they are hearing things that they didn't need to hear, or maybe wasn't the right thing to say. And if you have the experts and the people that specialize in those things all together, and you guys are on the same page, and everybody can perform their role at their capacity.
Okay. And last, how do I know therapy is working? How do I tell the leaders, like, it's working, it's not working? Is it okay for me to leave one therapist and go to another? Like, how do you know it's working?
One thing I'll say, I think I have two parts to that answer. One thing is, you don't have to report to anybody how therapy is going, because you leave room for people to set their own expectations of your process. So if if I'm in a relationship and I'm thinking about leaving that relationship, and I go back to my leaders and say, well, you know what, therapy right now is making me feel like I should stay in it, and I'm learning healthier ways to be in that relationship, and their response is like, I think you should leave him. So now it's conflicting, right?
Yes.
It's like, well, my heart and the work that I'm doing in myself maybe has helped me to master forgiveness, and that you may not be on the same page.
Yes.
So to answer your question about how do you know it's working, I think when you go to therapy, you have a very good therapist, or you have a therapist, you guys are going to talk about treatment goals. Okay. So see how your treatment goals are going. If you say I'm going to reduce stress, I'm going to work on my anxiety, then at week 8, where are we with that?
Yes.
And your therapist should be checking in with you and saying like, hey, you have improved in this area. Actually, after every session, they should be taking what we call a chart note on how you are doing. If you're going backwards, if things are getting worse, if you're improving, and you guys should be doing check-ins so that you can see if the work and the interventions are working.
Great. And you specialize, or you help men, women, and children?
I do.
Because that's another myth.
So I actually specialize in adults.
Just adults, so no children.
No children, but I
Okay.
do have some therapists that are coming on board that will actually specialize in working with children.
I love that. She got
Yeah.
therapists coming on board. Come on.
Yes.
I love that. So you specialize with adults?
Yes.
Men and women. Because, in our culture, one feels like they cannot.
I know.
Men feel like they shouldn't go to therapy or get help.
Yeah.
Do you prefer to work with one over the other? Have you seen the pros and cons of therapy for women and for men?
So actually, when I started my career was always with men.
Wow.
So I grew a love for it. I know that that's a space that is not super comfortable for some people. They're raised of any nationality to be strong, to keep it together, that you shouldn't be crying and all those things. So to start my career it exposed me to so much. Yes. Now that I'm in my own private practice, it's kind of 50-50. I'm seeing men and women, but I also see couples. So in those spaces, I'm kind of seeing both at the same time.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so I don't really have a preference at this point because I like that I've had experience in both. So I don't really see it like gender-wise. I don't see like one is easier to work with or one is coming with more or coming with less. It's really just people that are coming that are ready to do the work.
Okay, so if I was a new client coming to you and I didn't know where to start or how to start, what's one thing you would tell me so I'll feel comfortable working with you?
Sure. I would tell you that this is a safe space. This is your space. You create the dynamic and the environment that you want it to be. And I would tell you that we were going to do things at your pace. I would tell you that I'm there to guide you. Yes. I'm here to kind of hold your hand. I'm here to expand on your strengths, so that you know that you're not coming and I have this list of expectations of you, or I have this list of things we're going to go through. I tell you that it is going to be a natural experience. So if you want to start today talking about one thing, that's what we're going to do. Yes. Next week, if you want to talk about something else, that's what we're going to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if I was in the intake process, I would say, sign me up. So at the end of every episode, I always ask you, I keep it real, I keep it authentic and transparent. I always ask, so what's the deal? What's the takeaway from this episode for the audience?
I think the takeaway for the episode is to work on your own journey and your own path. Make sure that it's what you want it to look like. Do it for yourself. Make sure that when you are ready to take that step when it comes to therapy or mental health, that you go off your own judgment. Everyone has their own experience. Some people shy away from speaking to a therapist because they don't know them, and a lot of it's too personal and all of that. But I would say if you feel like this is your time to go to therapy and find a provider that can meet you where you're at, now is the time.
Absolutely. And can you tell the people where to find you?
I am on a couple therapy directories. You can find me on Psychology Today just by my first and last name, which is Dralisa Young. We do have our own website, which is www.favorithetherapy.com.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And always remember, you all, therapy is not a sign of weakness. It is a proactive step towards a healthier life. And remember, nothing about you is a small deal, but everything about you is a big deal. And that's what's real. Until next time.
Okay, that flowed. That was good.
I told you, I flowed.